Should you buy Assassin's Creed in 2023? Assassin's Creed 1 is the original Assassin's Creed, the Assassin's Creed that spawned countless sequels, improving upon its foundation, eventually losing any resemblance to this 2007 open-world Assassin's Creed game about assassinating templars. Assassin's Creed was criticised for its repetitive structure, its bland colour palette which is pretty much brown and grey, and finally for its bugs. But is Assassin's Creed still worth playing in 2023 after all of the sequels that released? And many of them are considered better than the original, so let's see if it's worth playing. I mean, that's why I'm here. Welcome back to Jack's Game Reviews, and if you're new, just welcome. Hi, how you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Before Assassin's Creed became about gods and Spartan kicks and all that jazz, it was a simple game about assassinating targets while giving you the freedom to climb and free run on almost anything set in an open world with a few cities split between loading screens. Assassin's Creed has a big focus on close range combat and stealth while trying to convey a story that just isn't that great. It's a great foundation, but here's why it's the original and arguably the weakest Assassin's Creed game, and why it does get some unjustified hate. Let's go. The bugs, first off, aren't really that bad, at least on PC anyway. The only bug I consistently got which annoyed the crap out of me was a bug where if you jump too far, Altair, the guy you play as, will literally lose all momentum and just drop, resulting in death or just a frustrated sigh, it's just a waste of time. That's pretty much the only bug I had during my playtime this year, apart from, like weird ragdolls, but I don't really count them as bugs, they're just hilarious.
I did as I was asked.
No, you did as you pleased.
The story of Assassin's Creed 1 is, in my opinion, the weakest part of the entire game, and that's saying something because it is really repetitive at times, but, I'll get to the gameplay in just a minute. Assassin's Creed 1 is focused on an assassin called Altair. Altair worked his way up the ranks of the assassins since he was a child, but remains extremely arrogant, causing a ton of mess due to his actions, which leads to a character death and essentially being shunned by other assassins. The story is about his redemption, learning from his mistakes while relearning his abilities and regaining his equipment, and that's about it. I'm not lying, that's pretty much it. Of course, the plot thickens towards the end of the game with a couple twists, but that happens about 95% of the way through of Assassin's Creed 1, so you're literally doing the same thing over and over again without really exploring many themes or, anything that's interesting story-wise. It's a really lackluster story, and it clearly was not the focus of development time, but it's clear Ubisoft knew they had something special due to the cliffhanger ending. Most of the side characters are bland and forgettable. I mean, the only characters I actually remember is Al-Mualim. I always ruin his name. Al-Mualim, Altair's master, and Robert de Saab or something. He was the main villain. I generally could not tell you who any of the other characters are outside of those two from on the top of my head. Whereas Assassin's Creed 2, 3, etc, etc, I could do all that in a heartbeat, hey, from Leonardo, Mario, Claudia, Rodrigo Borgia, Cesare Borgia, Charles Lee. You get the point. Robert de Saab, or however you say his name, is a really weak villain. He kind of just stands around and screams for a bit and then disappears at the start of the game, then you never see him again till the very end of the game. So yeah, I mean, I'm repeating myself here at this point, but he's weak like the rest of the story, which just makes me value the newer games slightly more. It's not helped by the straight up terrible voice acting for Altair's character and the 360p sound design for most aspects like the ambience in the open world, etc. The sound design is still pretty bad in Assassin's Creed 1. I mean, it's always been pretty bad in Assassin's Creed games, but it's never been as bad as Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I'm not going to get into that because someone's going to be in the comments, what do you mean? Shush. I mean, the actor for Altair didn't even return for Assassin's Creed Revelations because he was that bad, or he just didn't want to return or something, but I just thought he was terrible. The new actor in Revelations did a much better job with less screen time. So the story is far from a mess, but it's just extremely boring, and even I have to admit it might be the weakest story in the franchise. Yes, even weaker than Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but at least Assassin's Creed 1 is short and not 60 hours long.
But all this time, I never told you I was sorry. Too damn proud.
As I said in my previous Assassin's Creed review about a year ago, Assassin's Creed 1 is the foundation for everything that was built in Assassin's Creed up until Assassin's Creed Origins back in 2017. If you played any Assassin's Creed game between 2007 and 2016, you'll probably recognize a ton of gameplay mechanics, but notice that it is fairly bare bones when compared to them. Don't worry, you're not high. you're right. Assassin's Creed 1 is just the most basic Assassin's Creed game you can play today. You free run, parkour, fight, stab, explore, and stealth your way through Assassin's Creed for about 10 hours depending on how much you decide to explore. I always say the best way to play Assassin's Creed is to treat it as a Hitman game, specifically Hitman Absolution, since you have no real choice in how you tackle and kill all of your targets. You literally have no choice apart from how long you take to kill a target. It's extremely scripted, making the actual missions pretty disappointing. The whole point of Assassin's is to assassinate things, so if you can't get that right in your Assassin's Creed game, you're in for a tough ride when it comes to reviews. That being said, I still enjoyed assassinating targets. They give you no choice on how it's done, but the way you have to assassinate many of your targets is genuinely interesting, bringing a new idea to each target. Sometimes you'll be forced to stealth your way through, or you'll have to fight off 20 other people to get to your target, which is pretty cool. I do think it's a little unfair for me to compare it to the Hitman games. The Hitman games are just the ultimate assassin experience. I don't think most people would disagree on that, but it's still clear that the repetitive main missions and lack of player creativity combine to create a pretty mind-numbing experience, unfortunately. The stealth is really bare bones, but this is the case for almost every Assassin's Creed game. You walk slowly and stab people in the back, and that's about it. You can hide in certain areas to end chases and things like that, but it's just, once again, it's super bare bones. I'm honestly surprised that the majority of people give Assassin's Creed a pass for its stealth system in every single Assassin's Creed game. Ubisoft made Splinter Cell, man. I know they can do better, but they just choose not to. Listen, I don't hate it, but it does lack something that other Assassin's Creed games have. The open world is probably the most irritating part to play in 2023. Back in 2008, I'm sure people were amazed by it. It was fantastic. We'd never seen the level of interactivity you could get from Assassin's Creed 1 when it comes to exploring and climbing everything in sight. But today, it's obviously going to be lacking. The cities look boring. There's nothing to really do in those cities apart from finding flags spread across the map and doing the occasional eavesdrop or free run challenge, which is, well, yeah, it's pretty damn boring. But the most surprising part, and it always surprises me every time I come back to play Assassin's Creed 1, is the combat system. I actually think this combat system is stronger than Assassin's Creed Odyssey and the Kenway Saga. You get a mix of light attacks, heavy attacks, dodges and counters and daggers and throws, and while there is a limit to what you can do, I genuinely think it's one of the stronger combat systems in this series. Animations look clean and work most of the time, and they all blend in well, not causing any issues like clipping or anything like that. But once again, that's it. As much as I like the combat system, it is bare bones. They should call Assassin's Creed 1 the bare bones edition, because it's bare bones. There's not much to it. There's no customization, there's no mix-up of animations. You probably see the same animation over and over again. And I'm not knocking it. I mean, this is 2008 or 2007, whenever it came out. But it's dated, and that's the reality, man. It's dated at this point. I still think it's better than the Kenway Saga. The Kenway Saga, you press counter and you kill. That's literally the entire combat system. You don't get heavy attacks, you don't get light attacks, you just spam square, which is really annoying. But I'll get into that when I reach those games in this brand new series where I'm going through every single Assassin's Creed game. So if you're interested in that, you should hit subscribe just to see more content like this. Assassin's Creed 1 is very bare bones. It has great ideas, but it fails to really capitalize on those ideas until its sequel's released a few years later. It's a great foundation, but if you've played previous Assassin's Creed games, then there really is no point in you playing Assassin's Creed 1. But if you're looking for more Assassin's Creed for some reason, and you've never played this one, you just want more and you want more, you don't care how repetitive it is, yeah, it's probably worth buying. I'd buy it for like a tenner or less, I think, now. But then again, I'm not really after more Assassin's Creed. I've got to play the entire series again, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, I really appreciate it, and maybe even subscribe. Thanks.